Here I am again a week later back filming for the same exact job. This time I get to pack light. You can see right here about my Shimoda bag with the FX6 and just a battery and a lens. This is how I pack the FX6 in the Shimoda bag. I love getting jobs like this where it's just a bag and a tripod. So if you haven't watched my last vlog, I got hired for this church right here and they liked me so much that they end up wanting to bring me back again next week to film a live stream for them. But with this job, they didn't hire me to be a DP. They actually just wanted to rent out my camera package. So I'm just letting them rent my package out. It's nice to get a cool little rental fee. Okay, so right here is my FX6 and it is mounted on a Manfrotto tripod. They have the SDI cable running in from the FX6 all the way up into this Black Magic box. I think it's an Ultra HD Black Magic. That might be the name. I'm not really sure what the name was, but it's running to this monitor right here, and that monitor is viewing the live stream. So honestly, it's very plug and play. And then there's two XLR cables that were plugged in on my top handle just to connect the microphones to it. And then they plug right here into this Black Magic box. It was fairly simple, fairly plug and play. I honestly thought live streaming was going to be a lot more complicated. Now, I don't know if every live stream setup is like this. Let me know in the comment section below if you have live stream experience, how the process is for each and every device, I guess. I don't know, but it seems fairly plug and play. That's the soundboard right there. That's where they're monitoring the audio. And the biggest issue that they were having that I tried to put my 2 cents and tell them was that the audio was clipping. I kept telling them to adjust their gain, but I didn't want to be that guy who kept telling the sound man what to do, how to do his job, because I'm not the sound guy. I'm just the DP. But for this job, I'm not even the DP. I'm just letting them use my camera gear and they're paying me a rental fee. So a couple issues that I had on my end where I kind of messed up with this whole gig was I brought a 24-70 zoom lens. Now, typically for conference work like this, I would rent out a 70-200, but since I'm not hired as the DP and the rate I got paid was only for a gear rental, I wasn't going to go and rent out a 70-200. Not only that, they didn't really make it clear to me exactly what they wanted. I just showed up with my camera and just one lens. And plus, the room itself, like I mentioned in my last vlog, it is fairly small. So I honestly didn't really think that I was going to need a longer lens, but it turns out I did. The second biggest mistake that I made on this shoot was the frame rates weren't matching. So on their TV, they were filming in 30 frames per second, but on my camera, I set it to 24 frames per second, again, because they didn't tell me what frame rate they wanted in. So I kind of had everything already adjusted. So when they got there, all they had to do was plug everything in and it's good to go. Another question I have for you guys is I changed the picture profile from S-Log3 to S-Cinetone because I thought that if I shoot in S-Log3 on the live stream, even though I have a Rec 709 LUT applied to my monitor, on the viewer screen, it's going to show a log image. Now, I don't know if that's true. Again, I never live streamed before, so if you know anything about that, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if I made the right choice in switching the picture profile to S-Cinetone. So I did that for them, so they didn't have to worry about like a log looking image. So for a while now, I've been on the hunt to try to find that perfect zoom lens. Now, if you guys don't know, I own a Sigma 24-70, and honestly, 24-70 millimeter lens, I hate that lens. And I believe I made an entire video on why I just don't like a 24-70. It's not that I don't like the 24 millimeter focal length or the lens itself, but it's more of the 70 millimeter focal length. If I'm gonna get a zoom lens, I really want something that's going to be a zoom lens. I want something that's going to reach farther than a 70. And I just feel like a 70 for me just isn't a long enough reach. And it's really hard to try to find that perfect zoom lens. And honestly, I'm starting to feel like it just doesn't exist. There is a lot of different options that I've been considering, but there's three big factors that I need in a zoom lens for my workflow. And the first one being the price point. I don't primarily use zoom lenses a whole lot. I use them whenever I have conferences, whenever I sometimes do my event work, I'll sometimes throw a zoom on, but mostly I'm using Prime. But I need the price to be a good price because I don't want to spend $2,000-3,000 on a zoom lens for something that I don't really use a whole lot. But it definitely comes in handy whenever I need a zoom lens, so I want something that's in the perfect price point. My Sigma 24-70 millimeter zoom lens, I paid roughly $800, I believe, for that lens, and I'm perfectly fine with that because yeah, $800 is a big chunk of change, but
compared to these other zoom lenses that cost $1,500, I didn't spend as nearly as much as those lenses. Another big factor for me is going to have to be the weight. I don't want a heavy zoom lens, and the Sigma lens for me, it's just right. It doesn't feel too heavy, but it also doesn't feel too light to where if I drop it, I'm gonna be scared it's gonna shatter. Now, I don't wanna drop my lens in the first place, but if I do, I feel a little bit more confident that this one is gonna hold up. Now, there's two zoom lenses that I've been eyeballing. The first one being the Diesel Film 18 to 90. I feel like it has the wide aspect of it. Though I don't shoot a lot of wide, it's more for my client. Sometimes I get jobs where my client wants it wider. Again, I personally don't like wide shots. I don't ever shoot hardly anything wide. I'm actually filming this video right now at 24mm focal length, and I don't like how it's looking. But my point is, I want something that's going to be wide, and the 18 is plenty wide for what I would use it for and my client's expectations. And then the 90, it's better than 70, but it's still not as far as I want it to reach, you know? And also, even looking that lens up before I even knew how much it costed, that lens goes for roughly $8,000 to $9,000. That was way out of my budget. So that is not even an option at all anymore. Another thing with that lens is I'm just scared the weight. Cinema lenses I know to be a full metal housing, so they're gonna have some hefty weight to it. And I feel like those lenses in particular would be pretty heavy for a zoom lens, and that's not something that I really want to carry around a lot. The second lens is honestly a lens that everyone talks about and praises. It's gonna be the Tamron 35 to 150. I never used that lens, and it seems pretty pleasing, but one of the biggest issues that I feel like I would have with it is gonna be the weight again. That lens, it looks pretty heavy, but I don't know. I never used it. If you used it before, let me know in the comment section below. Is it a heavy lens? What do you love about it? I love how it has 35 to 150. I love that 150 focal length because it's a pretty good reach. I feel like I could get away with some conference work with that lens. The fact that it's only a 35, I would want something a little bit wider. I already have a 35mm lens, and that's like my second favorite lens, and I pretty much use that for everything. All these talking head YouTube videos are on that lens, but there is times where I'm in tighter rooms where I just want it a little bit wider, or again, I'm filming for a client and they want it just a little bit more wider. So the fact that it only goes to a 35, that kind of is an issue for more of the client side of what I would use it for, but for my personal use, it wouldn't be too much of an issue. I still would want it a little bit wider. So that's kind of why I'm hesitant on getting that lens in particular. I think right now it's actually on sale for like $1,400. I seen some going for like $1,200, and the retail is like $1,800. So that's why I brought it up. I kind of want to grab it, but then I kind of don't. So I'm not sure. If you guys use that lens, please let me know in the comment section below. That's just kind of where I'm at right now with these zoom lenses. Honestly, I might just keep my 24 to 70 and just suck it up. I wanted something longer because I don't want to have to buy a telephoto lens like a 70 to 200 for these conference jobs. I want to try to utilize getting something that is at least like a 150 and I can kind of make it work. But something with a farther reach is something that I would want, and it has to be an f2.8 only because I do a lot of events and conferences, and the lighting in those places are really bad. They're either dim lighting or there's no lighting. So having a 2.8 is very important for me, and if I did events and conferences that were outside, then an f4 would be perfectly fine, because before the 24-70 I was considering the 24 to 105. I had that lens in the Sigma version on my Canon and my Blackmagic. When I had Canon and Blackmagic, I used the 24 to 105 for those, and it was fine. It was great. It was sharp. It looked good. It was the f4. I didn't really care because I was doing outside work. I was doing music videos, so it didn't really matter to me. But now that I'm doing these indoor conferences, and I just don't know, and I don't want to make the wrong purchase, but I'm gonna keep holding off. I feel like I'm trying to look for that perfect lens that just doesn't exist.